Welcome to the Aviation Insurance Podcast, the podcast that helps aircraft owners and aviation businesses learn and understand the complex world of aviation insurance and risk management. From the basic principles of aviation insurance to risk management techniques and updates on the aviation insurance market, the Aviation Insurance Podcast is your guide to traverse the world of aviation insurance. Now, here's your host, Tim Bonnell.
Aircraft owners and operators purchase insurance to pay for their claims in the event they suffer a loss. And so today I wanted to have an overview of the claims process on what needs to happen on an aircraft insurance claims. Now, always keep in mind that the claims process, the requirements of the insured in the claims process is outlined in the conditions section of your aviation insurance policy. But there are some key steps that everyone should keep in mind in the event that they have an aircraft insurance loss or claim. Number one, ensure that any medical injuries are addressed, right? Taking care of people is always the top priority. Next, protect the asset against further loss or harm, right? So if the aircraft is sitting on the runway or in a field, take pictures to document the way it is. But if you need to, cover it, if it needs to be moved, if hiring security is an important part of that, the insurance companies want you to do what you can to protect the asset against further loss or harm. So contacting a security company or the local sheriff to protect or provide security for the aircraft in the event of a loss could be a key thing that you can do to protect the asset from further loss or harm. Third, your insurance company would say, do not admit fault. Following a loss, you don't know what happened. You may be even dazed and confused, for lack of a better term. And so you're always encouraged not to admit fault until you and your insurance company has had the opportunity to fully assess the situation. After those three, the key is to provide timely notice to the insurance company, right? That is one of the items outlined in the conditions section of your policy. Provide timely notice of the loss to the insurance company. In aircraft insurance claims, that's typically provided to the aviation insurance agency or your aviation insurance broker. We call them and we're going to report certain details. What is timely notice? Well, that isn't strictly defined. Obviously, the insurance company wants you to make sure that the first three items are addressed, making sure that all medical injuries are addressed, that we protect the asset against further loss or harm, that everything's in order. But pretty soon after that, they would like to be notified. If they're not provided timely notice, they're not provided an opportunity to investigate the claim and defend it to the level they would have been had they had timely notice, they can either deny the claim or they can pursue the claim under what's called a reservation of rights letter saying, hey, we weren't provided timely notice or we didn't have all the information. We'll pursue the claim, but we're not obligated to pay for it if the appropriate terms and conditions were not met. So it's very important to provide timely notice. So as soon as you can, as soon as safely and reasonably possible, notify the insurance company via your insurance agent of the claim. That is one of your terms and conditions in the conditions sections of the policy is your duty as being the insured on the policy. Obviously, the insurance company wants you to cooperate with any government agencies involved, the FAA, the NTSB, police, any government-related authorities. You've got to cooperate with them in the process. That's the law anyway, so that's important. And then once you're through this, then the key is going to be to collect the information and document all of the information the insurance company will need to help settle the claim. So what is that? Well, first, as we talked about, document any pictures, get the contact information of any pilots, passengers, third-party claimants on the site. You want that information before everyone starts going in different directions. After that, I like to keep in mind kind of the 5 W's and the 1 H of a situation. So the who, where, why, when, what, and how. Documenting the who, the parties that were involved in the accident. Again, the aircraft owner, passengers, pilots, crew, people on the ground, a landowner, airport owner, operator, so on and so forth. And they're also going to want to know who performed, depending on the type of loss, they may want to know who, last performed maintenance on the aircraft, who fueled the aircraft, who last moved the aircraft. So it's good just to, while you're in a position, to recount everyone involved in the recent um, handling of the aircraft, to document who that was, and to type it out, write it out, so that you have that readily available for the insurance company. Where did the loss occur? You know, sometimes this is in a field, so a cross section, a GPS reference, an airport identifier. The more specific that you can be, the more helpful you'll be to your insurance company. When did it happen? The date and time. That's pretty simple. But any date and time that you can think of involved in the loss that would be helpful to the insurance company, please document and notate that. Again, obviously we need to report what aircraft or asset was involved. So N number, aircraft, if there was a third party aircraft, what was it? Why did the loss occur? You may want to note contributing factors that may have happened, weather, mechanical issues. It's important, I think, to write down as much as you can at the onset of a claim, because details can be forgotten as time goes on. And then it's very key to report how the insurance company can best contact the insured and any third-party providers. Recording that's just critical, because if there's just a main contact and we can't reach the people who need to be involved in the claim, the adjuster is going to have a real hard time, processing the claim. Now, once this information is turned in to the insurance company through the agent or broker, the insurance company is going to assign an insurance adjuster, a claims adjuster. That adjuster is going to be the party responsible for adjusting or handling that claim. They will be the direct contact with the insured party and the third parties. They may involve other attorneys or claims adjuster, but they're going to be the one responsible for adjusting the claim. They're going to be required to obtain this documentation that you just brought in. They're going to have to verify that coverage was in place. So they're going to, look at, all the pilots' licenses, logbooks, maintenance logbooks, all of the activity that is in the logs and in the reports to make sure that coverage was in place. On another episode, we talk about the 3 Ps, were the pilot requirements met? Was it in the policy territory? And was the purpose of use that the aircraft was being operated? Were those 3 things within the bounds of the terms and conditions of the insurance policy? And so they're going to verify insurability of the loss by looking at those and other pieces of information. They're going to contact all parties involved, and then they're going to work with the insured and all third parties to try and adjust the claim. So it is the adjuster that is the contact. For those of you who have a good aviation insurance agent or broker, they're your advocate. If you're having challenges, you can reach out to them for assistance. But typically, most of the time, you're going to be working with the insurance adjuster. They will go through that process of, verifying coverage, adjusting the loss, and going into loss assessment and evaluation. We can talk about, and have talked about in other episodes, looking at if it's a total or partial loss, what the payment should be. So they're going to go through that process, and then a repair or replacement determination is made. They present the insured with the proof of loss, what they're planning to do, to be signed, and then the payment gets made to the insured, to the service provider, to the third party, after all these series of processes have happened. Now, if there is a disagreement on the loss settlement for the insured, particularly on a first party loss, most of the insurance policies will have a process that you have to go through called, arbitration. And that's a lengthy party where each of you kind of have an umpire, and then a third party umpire is hired, and the results of that arbitration is the result of what the claim outcome will be. So that's kind of a potential follow-up that can come up in an aircraft insurance claim. Most of the time it doesn't get there. Hopefully it doesn't get there. I know, and as of this recording, most insurance companies actually do what they can to find a way to pay the claim. Aviation insurance is a small industry, and everyone wants a good reputation. So unless there's clearly, no evidence of an occurrence or there's a violation of the policy, they're going to do what they can to find coverage to pay for the claim. But it ultimately, once a claim is settled, the check is signed, that check signed, whether it's first party or third party, releases for the final payment, releases the insurance company from any further liability to pay claims on behalf of that claim. Or their duty to defend and pay the claim is done when the limits of coverage is exhausted. Anyway, aircraft insurance claims, there's a lot of vast topics, and I plan to bring on some claims adjusters to talk more about it, some interesting stories. You learn a lot about insurance coverages, what we have and don't have when there's a claim. And so it is important to understand these key things: the insured's duty in the event of a loss, which again are outlined in the conditions section of the policy, but we talked about them early in our episode. Making sure to document and record all the pertinent information. It is a best practice to keep logs, aircraft, pilot logs, maintenance records, all of those things in a secure location that multiple people know about should an event occur, so that information is ready to be provided to the adjuster. There are plenty of circumstances where the aircraft owner was the pilot involved in a very serious incident or fatal incident, and the surviving spouses or the people left cleaning up the details are unable to locate this key information, and this delays the claim settlement significantly. So please, as a best practice, find a secure, fireproof type of safe location to store aircraft logs, maintenance logs, pilot logs, and all this key information, and let spouses, business associates, other people know where they can find that in the event there's a loss that you're not able to respond. And that will help a loss be processed a lot easier in the event you're not there to do it. So that's a quick overview, maybe a little more than that, of the aircraft insurance claims process. Being prepared for a claim is the best way to get a good response and to pave the way towards the quickest settlement possible. Well, that's all for this episode. Join us again next time as we continue navigating the turbulence and waypoints in aviation insurance. Until then, enjoy clear skies and unlimited visibility.
Thanks for listening to the Aviation Insurance Podcast. If you found this episode of value, please share it with someone who would benefit from this information. Don't forget to subscribe in your podcast player so you don't miss any new episodes, and to help our show have more impact. This episode is brought to you by Aris Insurance Solutions, your flight plan for navigating the turbulence of aviation insurance. For more information, visit arisinsurance.com. That is www.aerisinsurance.com. Disclaimer: these episodes are for educational purposes only, and due to the changing regulatory and legal nature of the business, some information may change over time. Having a well-educated and experienced aviation insurance broker on your team is an absolute requirement to success in business and for managing your aircraft and aviation business risks.